AC75 Practice, Day 2.
Two of the teams went out for the second day of practice. Actually, only Emirates Team New Zealand and Luna Rossa were out on the field trying to do some races, some starts. But the news are not really good for Luna Rossa.
No, not at all, actually.
Doesn't seem to be, at least.
They don't look like. We don't know whether there is some sandbagging on this, but honestly, the difference in speed is very, very important. So it's quite difficult to think about a big, huge sandbagging like this one.
Exactly. Obviously, the other way it could be, it's that Luna Rossa was really trying to go slow. So it's kind of difficult to say that, because obviously when you are there, you just try to have all the information. You try to stay as close as possible to your opponent.
Yes.
In this case, a little bit also an enemy in this moment to your opponent. So going out there and being very far back, it's not
that useful. Not that useful.
So it's almost better not to be there. And this is probably one of the reasons why the other two teams, American Magic and Ineos, were not there. So
yes.
Either they had some huge problems on their boats, or they didn't want to
spend time on
the water with Team New Zealand.
Everybody considers the defender as always a big advantage, and so there have been quite a bit of discussions when these practices have been scheduled, because nobody wanted actually to give further advantages to the defender. But we will see what the challengers will do in the next days, if they will try to compare their speeds with Team New Zealand or not. It is also possible that they decided not to give any further advantage, and also it is also possible that during the race nobody will really race against Team New Zealand. This is kind of extreme, but you can also think about something like this.
Exactly, since this Christmas regatta is not actually
doesn't
count very much. It just decides the way you enter in the Prada Cup, but everything will be smoothed out in the Prada Cup with the round robin. So actually, it's better. Probably, or for sure, the teams are thinking about not giving any information to Team New Zealand in these kind of races. So not racing in any way, in the way they can race, just losing some races, but not giving anything to Emirates Team New Zealand. Obviously, everything is a little bit more complicated than that, because everyone has his sponsors and his communications problems. So obviously you also need to show your boat is not that weak in respect to Emirates Team New Zealand.
Exactly. So actually we are not looking for excuses. The result on the water has been very clear. So Emirates Team New Zealand upwind in some moments were about 3-4 knots faster, maybe something like this.
Exactly.
And this can hardly be explained by the difference in the sail size, which is there anyway. So Luna Rossa was using the same jib as the day before, so a small jib with a narrow head, while New Zealand was out with a square head jib, for sure bigger. And also the mainsail they did use were looking the same as the day before. So Luna Rossa mainsail was a little bit smaller. There is a difference of about 10 square meters you can play with. And if you look at the logo on the top, you see that the logos are equal one to the other. So you see that Luna Rossa mainsail is a little bit smaller. Anyway, this is not an excuse, because at full speed, this should be, in theory, even an advantage maybe for in strong winds for the boat that has smaller sails, no?
Exactly. So since they were at the upper limit, no, of their
Yes.
wind limit, so about 20 knots, 18, 20 knots. It's totally probable, and I think that they don't need that much power. So Emirates Team New Zealand was probably a little bit overpowered, even, while Luna Rossa doesn't seem to be underpowered, actually.
No,
And
not at all.
I don't think actually they were underpowered. So they had the right sails, more or less.
Yes.
While it's on the other side quite curious that Emirates Team New Zealand, even in the upper wind range, is using anyway quite large sails. So this means in some ways they are looking for as much power as possible, which is quite strange, because they have the thinnest foils for sure. So they don't have that much lift to deal with, and also and then they have the same righting moment more or less as anyone else, because we guess everyone is more or less has done the boat as wide as possible, or at least has placed the arms in the widest possible position.
And the lowest, maybe the lowest possible position to achieve the best,
maximum righting moment. So the righting moment is more or less the same. With more sail area, they would actually be with more drag. The difference is in drag on the foils, which they have for sure much smaller than anyone else, much smaller than Luna Rossa, and much smaller than all the other teams that have, I think, bigger foils than Luna Rossa in general.
Yes.
At least in this moment, they can always change before the race. In this sense, Emirates Team New Zealand has for sure less drag in the water. So this could be one possible reasons why they were so fast.
Yeah, if the foils are enough to lift the boat, for sure, a smaller foil is faster. This is granted, can be granted. Every foiling guy knows this. So there's no question about this. Still, the speed difference is impressive, and so there is something to think about for Luna Rossa guys, provided they were not slowing the boat down or slower by any other reason. But we saw a difference, not actually a huge difference in maneuvering. So Luna Rossa was maneuvering normally more or less in the same way as Team New Zealand. So there is not a gap in this field, I would say, but there was a gap for sure in speed.
Exactly. We just hope, not because we are forcefully Luna Rossa fans, but we hope for the regatta to be fun, that they were just slowing themselves down. Honestly, I don't think the difference between the boats is now at this level. Exactly. Also, since every team has a very, very huge team for designing and building the boat.
Yes.
So this much of a difference, it's not something that
can reasonably happen. If it's a matter of foils, obviously everybody has made I don't know how many runs of foils on the software. So for sure they can they can use a foil very, very close to the Team New Zealand ones. They are not something really, really strange. No, they are quite standard foils. No, just smaller. And about the sails, it's just a matter of choosing the right ones. Not the right ones. The right for For the wind range, Luna Rossa has most probably chosen the sails they have selected for this wind range with this kind of voice. But they can also change their trim and maybe achieve better results as Team New Zealand now, no? So it's not a gap that you can't feel quite relatively easy, no?
Yeah.
Easily. I don't think it can be a boat design issue. Obviously, Luna Rossa is different from Team New Zealand, but I don't think the hull difference can make this kind of difference in speed.
Exactly, the boats are fast for sure. They are very fast, even probably over than 50 knots downwind. But if we are talking about upwind, they are probably 20-25 knots. So obviously it's a speed. It's
Yes.
a reasonable speed for a high speed actually for a boat, but it's a, let's say, normal speed. You can feel if you are going very fast on your bike. So I don't think that can be the hull shape
Yes.
can play that much of a difference in this kind of speed. No, so
Exactly.
nobody has done a flat flat and square boat. Every boat is in Suez Leak. Obviously, Luna Rossa is a little bit more bulky, let's say, in the front part, but I don't think this can be the difference. The foils can make a huge difference because they are going in the water, so
Yes.
it's 1,000 times more dense. But yeah, they obviously have already tried the Team New Zealand solution, and if they don't use that, I think if no one of the other teams is using that solution, it means that they have some ideas of why this is not the best solution. Or
Exactly.
maybe they will change. Everybody will change to
They
flat
change.
and small foils, and
Exactly.
and they were just wrong until now.
Until now, in fact. We are waiting for the other two boats that are maybe working, maybe waiting, maybe not wanting to give more info. Let's see. Let's see what will happen in a couple of days. There will be, in theory, a practice race. Let's see if someone shows up for the
Exactly.
not like today. Okay, thank you. Bye.
Ciao, ciao.